Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on this upcoming DC universe, and we have a plethora of DCU projects coming our way over the next several years, really, and hopefully more and more into the future. Of course, starting in a handful of months with Superman in July, but one project that I am desperate to see happen hasn't been hinted at too much, or really discussion around it. I just want to see it happen, whether it's on the big screen or like an HBO series potentially, is that of the JSA, aka the Justice Society of America. We have seen this group show up in some animated versions, as well as live action in Smallville, Legend of Tomorrow, Black Adam, and most recently in Stargirl. But when it came to all of these iterations, or those iterations in live action, we never really spent much time with the JSA in their prime, or in some cases much time at all, like Legends. We weren't with them that much, really. And I guess you could argue the same for Black Adam as well. But it wasn't a JSA movie, it was a Black Adam movie, so that sort of makes sense. So in the upcoming DCU, I would love to see a JSA in its prime working as this like overly well-oiled team machine, because as I've said before, in regards to a team-up product, the JSA is better than the Justice League. You can disagree if you want, that's fine, but that is just where my head is at the very least. So in this video, I wanted to suggest a possible lineup for the JSA in the DCU, at least when we first meet them in whatever form that might be. There is one option which has two choices technically, but that is for good reason. I was going to include some potential fan castings that I've seen, as, that makes sense, I guess, in a video like this, but I was looking around and a lot of people were casting as if we were meeting or, going to be making a borderline retired JSA. So all the members were like mid-50s, 60 years old or something like that. I want a JSA in their prime, not past their prime. But of course, throughout the video, be sure to let me know in the comments section down below your various opinions on this. Would you want to see a JSA movie or show, HBO show, maybe HBO Max if we have to go there at the very, if we have to go to HBO Max, I'll take HBO Max if we're getting something JSA related. But yeah, do you want to see it? If so, what characters would you want to see? Let me know. And of course, if you're going to enjoy the video, drop a like, takes 2 seconds. So the first character in particular is that of the two option thing I was mentioning before, and the reason I say this, some of you might get it, you might get a hint as to where I'm going with this, is Hawk Girl or Hawk Man. I don't think if you do JSA, both of them are there. So this would insinuate one of them is probably dead. Now, we don't know if they're going to go down the reincarnation angle, or there's going to be the Thanagarian angle. I think in the DCU, we're going to get a combo. I think like something. I think the reincarnation thing is too cool of a thing with Hawk Girl and Hawk Man, and makes them a bit unique. Like, instead of just making them another alien race, I think actually making the fact that there is a reincarnation thing there, and that they're, one can, live on for like 40 more years than the other, then die, and the reincarnation thing happens there. Like, I think that's a cooler thing, but I wonder if they would actually blend it where it's a mixture, like they are aliens, they are Thanagarians, but then they also reincarnate, and they just came to Earth all those years ago and started reincarnating. I don't know, be interesting to see which one they would do. But if I had to pick one of the two that would be in the JSA based off Hawk Girl or Hawk Man, I'd probably say Hawk Man, just due to the fact that we're getting Hawk Girl in Superman, and there's the assumption that she's going to be on the Justice League. So I think having Hawk Man here would make a bit more sense, just in regards to bringing as many characters into the DCU as possible, but you can make it that Hawk Girl is dead at this point. So she's died, and this movie could be set in like the 70s, the 40s, wherever they want to do it. But I think that's probably what you would do. Include one of the Hawks, but not two of them, Like, I think you just want to do one of them, and one of them is also dead. The next option is that of Dr. Fate. Now, I think if you do JSA, it's really hard not to put Dr. Fate in there, also because of the magic angle. And I think this sort of maybe like separate the JSA from the Justice League, because there is some similar characters, like saying have a Hawkman on the JSA and there's Hawk Girl on the Justice League, but there's no real magic person when it comes to the Justice League unless they include Zatanna or something like that. So I think Dr. Fate is just too cool of a character, looks too cool, and the abilities and everything like that. I mean, you have to do it, don't you? The third one's an easy one, and we're probably getting into the more obvious ones now. Those first two are, I don't know, I guess they're all, quote unquote obvious because it's JSA and there's just certain people that stand out. But the third one is Flash or Jay Garrick. Now, I didn't say the Flash because usually when it's JSA, people just call him Flash. But I mean, this is an easy one. Now, there's not really much to say here in regards to it, but it would give you a bit of a different viewpoint maybe on a speedster, especially if they went with like the old school Jay Garrick and how like his powers might have looked and how powerful he maybe wasn't, if you want to put it, because they might not include the Speed Force, which I think would make Jay Garrick an interesting character to use in the JSA film and just make him a bit different than other speedsters we've seen before in live action, even the other Jay Garrick and stuff on the TV show. Now, obviously, one of the fan casts around Jay Garrick is that you would cast just Grant Gustin in the role. I don't know if I'd do that. It'd be a fun little homage and nod, but that would maybe be if you're like if we're like 10 years down the track and they decide to make this movie then or this show then yeah, maybe that would be a cool casting. Put, you know, Grant Gustin as Jay Garrick. But if this was made in the next handful of years, you know, you probably want someone else. But we're not doing fan cast at the moment. But I mean, you have to include Flash when you do JSA, specifically Jay Garrick. The next one is another obvious one, but it's one that has a question mark on it because I don't know if they would go on to use him, and this is just depending on a rumor that's come out. But this is the Green Lantern, or Alan Scott's Green Lantern, which of course differs from the Green Lanterns that we see on the Green Lantern Corps. Sort of similar to, you know, Flash with Jay Garrick. He's a speedster. He seems, you know, he's called the Flash, but his powers aren't the same, you know, because if you take that Speed Force thing away and you do it like how he originally was in the comics, that's the same with the Alan Scott Green Lantern. Like, his ring isn't from Oa, you know, he's not connected to the Green Lantern Corps in that way, though he's like later made like an honorary member. He's not a proper member like Hal Jordan, John Stewart, Kyle Rayner, Guy Gardner, all of them are. So this would be a really cool thing to do with, you know, to show a different Green Lantern, you know, in live action compared to what you're going to see in the show like Lanterns. That's obviously filming right now, as I said before. But one of the rumors is that Alan Scott's going to be in Lanterns. We don't know if that, obviously it's a rumor. It's not like a leak or anything like that. That's just a rumor. So it'd be interesting to see if that happens, if he is there. But then again, maybe they might just mention him. Maybe they mention him, but they don't show him. Because also it's a big character. There's stuff you can do with him, like with the JSA and other stuff. Unless it's meant to be just an older version. Like we see like a 70, 80-year-old Alan Scott in Lanterns. And then obviously in this movie, show, whatever it ends up being with JSA, if it does happen, he's like 40, late 30s, something like that. But I mean, come on, Flash, Green Lantern, obvious ones to put in there. The next one is to sort of like add some grounded characters, because of course we got, you know, Hawkgirl and Hawkgirl or Hawkman, potentially like winged reincarnated creatures or aliens, Dr. Fate magic, Flash with speed, Green Lantern with a magic ring. Let's ground it a bit, and that's with Black Canary, the Dinah Drake version. Now, of course, this is Dinah Lance's mother, and it'd be interesting to see if you could cast the mother of Dinah Drake based off maybe the daughter casting of Dinah Lance, depending on what comes first. Of course, there's a rumor that Journey Smollett Bell might be coming back as Dinah Lance in the DCU. There's no major thing around that. There's just, once again, a rumor. So you could cast it off that. Like, okay, who's a good fit for her mum, you know, and you cast like a younger version of that. So that would be an interesting way to do it. But I think Black Canary, JSA, Dinah Drake's version specifically, once again, it fits pretty well. The second last option is one which, once again, it's I feel like I'm repeating myself, but it just feels like one you have to do in a JSA film, if it's like sent, or JSA project, if it's focused around that, and that's Rex Tyler's Hour Man. It's an interesting, I think it adds an interesting element because you can only use his characters for his powers, for 1 hour per day. So it adds a bit of like a time and place situation. He's not like the other heroes where he can just use his powers, but he's just incredibly overpowered for 1 hour specifically. So it'd almost be like a strategy thing, which I think would be really, really interesting in a film or series, depending on which way they go down with a character like this. And of course, there's a science angle and everything and what that character is. And the final option to put in here, the final member that I've decided to include in like a rough lineup for an original JSA sort of thing, is the Spectre. I think that's a character that people would want, especially comic fans, when it comes to the JSA. And it's also a character we haven't really seen too much of in live action specifically. So I think it's a character that would be cool to use, but you could also use him as a bit like of a, like an anomaly as well. Like maybe he's just in a bit of the movie. He's not in the main thing. I don't know how you would use him specifically, but I think the Spectre is one that I think a lot of people would like to see, especially like JSA fans or just comic fans, just because he hasn't been in live action really properly. Obviously, there's been takes on him, but not like a JSA Spectre. So I think that's what people would really, really want to see. But obviously, like the topic of JSA film and whether it happened, or JSA project, I go say film just because I think a film's probably the way to go, because all those previous things outside of Black Adam where they weren't the focus were TV shows. So I think making a JSA film, like a team up film, would be the best way to go about it. I think that's probably the preferred medium that I would want at the very least. But I think a JSA film just seems like the way to go. And I think I'd like to think at the very least that it's on James Gunn's plans, but it might, but it also, it's something that could stand alone as well, which is a big thing. So yeah, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what happens. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If it'd be awesome if you could drop a like on it, show support. Let me know in the comments section down below your various opinions on everything we went in this video. The castings, would you want more characters, take out some characters, whatever it is. Let me know. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, and I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye.